On today's show, we will discuss New Year's resolutions. Do we make them, or that's a big no? And later we will have Jen Davis join us to give us a few money-saving tips. Have you ever heard the statement, nothing changes if nothing changes? I was reminded of it the other day while I was watching a show, and it hit me a little different for whatever reason. I simply could not get these words out of my head. I began to think about my walk with God over this past year. There are areas in my walk with Him that aren't where I would like it to be, but I realized nothing changes if nothing changes. There are things I wanted to look different, to be different, but was I doing anything to make them different? Was I taking these things to Him? Was I doing what He then told me to do with them? Was I just becoming comfortable in the place that I was in? Was I just pushing these things aside saying, I'll work on it some other day, some other time? But again, I'll say, nothing changes if nothing changes. If I truly want to see a breakthrough, if I truly want to strengthen my walk with God, then I must be willing to do things differently than I've always done them. A great example to this might be, to help put it into perspective, is, hey, I want to lose weight. Well, you can't just say it. You actually have to do something about it by changing your eating habits. Something has to change so that you can see the change. Well, guess what? It's the same in your walk with Him. I can't just say, God, I want a closer walk with you. I want to know you more, but then I do nothing to change that. As I look back over this year, I can see God's hand on so many things in my life and how beautifully patient He is with me. But I also know that He wanted more and had more for me if I would have learned to lean in more and trusted more. I've talked about how I like to take a word into the new year, and I believe that He's given me that word, phrase. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If I truly desire more of Him and less of me, then I need to be willing to make some changes, some sacrifices. Maybe it's how I spend my time, maybe it's in my finances, or maybe something else. And that's where I will need to seek Him and ask Him, and then be willing to change those things, to be obedient to the things that He's placed in my heart, to walk it out and take those steps that are needed. I don't know what that all will look like, except I do know that it will be amazing because everything with Him is. And I don't want to be in the same place that I am now. Not a bad place, but there's always better, always more that He has for me. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. So here's to a new year, reminding myself that nothing changes if nothing changes. He is doing a brand new thing, and He will absolutely make a way. I encourage you to pray and see if God just might have a word for you to take with you this new year. And we are just three ladies, all with big opinions, backed by a biblical standpoint. Let's talk about it.
This segment is brought to you by Harry's Construction, whose motto is, if you can dream it, we can create it. They are the kitchen and bath design experts, so call Harry's Construction for all your remodeling needs.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About It, and today's episode is just all about heading into the new year, and do you make New Year's resolutions?
Woohoo! Happy New Year!
Yes, Happy New Year 2024! So, do you like to make New Year's resolutions? Are you someone that stays away from that? Teresa?
Not necessarily make a New Year's resolution. I wrote this down. We are meant to live with purpose, not drifting aimlessly, and goals point us to the future by fueling a sense of purpose in our lives. So adjust your goals as you go along.
I like that.
And I felt like not really a New Year's resolution, but I set goals.
Yes.
Like I have a goal set that I I did the Bible recap in a year, first time in my life, but I did it October to October. So I just finished it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
so I'm
that's
going to
so
do it again, but I want to do it in January, not as a resolution, but that's when the whole thing starts over.
Right, you want to do it from...
I want to do it with everybody else that does
Right.
it in the world, because
Right.
I was not with everybody else
Right.
in the world when I did it October to October. So that's one thing. And then I started in April trying to eat better. And I would like to carry that over into the next year and try to be a little more healthy, but not necessarily a New Year's resolution, just goals.
Goals, yeah.
As we go along, yeah. I tend to get overwhelmed if I think, okay, for this next year, I'm going to... because I'm setting myself up for failure. I know myself. But for years now, I have tried to every night... Used to... did y'all ever have drapes in your house? Do you know what,
Curtains?
drapes? No, drapes, Kelly, you young child. Drapes that you pull a cord and they close and they open. Your grandmother probably had them. Okay. Anyway, we lived in a house that had drapes, and I decided, because I would open them in the morning and I would close them at night. And I decided then that every day I was going to, when I closed my drapes, I would say, have I been as present as possible in the situations I was in today? And to ask myself that question. And then in the morning, when I opened them, I would pray, God, help me to use this day to glorify you and to be present with the people I am with. And I have really tried to carry that. So your thing as, don't overwhelm yourself. Just do it a little chunk at a time. A little chunk at a time.
Yeah.
I'm way better that way.
Me too.
Way
if,
better
if
that
we
way.
take everything that needs to be changed and worked
Oh.
on,
We'll
it's-
never change anything.
Yeah, nothing changes if nothing changes.
That's exactly
You gotta
right.
take a little bit at a time. And, I talked about how I like to take a word with
Yes.
me or a little phrase. And that's been a thing that I think this is probably my 5th year doing
Okay.
it. And I just like that because it's something that's not meant to be just for the first month. It's,
Right.
it's meant to take throughout the year and see where God really wants to grow that in you. Have I failed at some of them? Absolutely. And I feel like he's been so gracious and patient to say, we're going to take that word along too again. So he's like, you need that word with you again. And I'm like, okay. And other words.
Well, and he will reveal different things about that word
Right.
as you go along.
It's true, because honestly, what it starts out to be is never what it ends to be.
Yes. I have found the same thing with my word. Yes.
Right. So I do like to do that. That's a big one for me. I don't call it a New Year's resolution, but it is something that I pray about before the new year begins and take with me for the new year. And then the other one that I like to do is the Bible. Like, what's our goal for this year? Like, where are we going, Lord, with your word? What is it you'd like me to tackle? And there's been times where it's been, let's do it in a year. Let's, read through it in a year, or read it out loud, And so for me this year, though, it's a little different because I'm off. I started on, so it won't necessarily begin in January, but I still think, regardless of when it starts, it's something
right.
that
Yeah.
you're on a journey
And
with.
again, adjust your goals.
That's right.
Adjust
That's
your
right.
goals. It doesn't mean you failed. You just got to adjust your
Yes.
goals. And
Yes.
this scripture I thought was perfect. It says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans.
Yeah.
So that was important. But again, I did the Bible recap October to October. It was important to me to finish. Did I get behind a couple times, a day or two? Yes, I did. Yes, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did. And at first I would beat myself up over it, like, oh, how could you let that happen? And then she, throughout the whole thing on her podcast, would say, if you're behind, it's okay.
Oh.
You're right where God needs you to be today.
Oh, wow.
And don't you know, she would be
Wow,
so
that is
right. Like,
big.
I would get
Yes.
behind 2 days, and then when I go to catch up, it was what I needed to hear for that day. So I did commit that year of reading God's word for the first time in my entire life to him, and he did establish those plans, and I still finished on time. It's all
Don't
good.
you think sometimes we start thinking, oh, like you said, oh, I want to change this about myself, and I want to do this, and I want to and we get so overwhelmed that we do absolutely nothing. And if you decide that you want to read your Bible every day, remember when God led the Israelites out of Egypt, he gave them manna, and he said, I want you to pick up enough for today. And that was different for each person because of their family size or because of what they needed. He isn't saying to me, Arlene, I want you to commit to doing the Bible in a year. That's what he's doing for you. Maybe to me, he's saying, Arlene, I want one verse
Right.
today, and I want you to pay attention to that. So don't think you have to be like us.
Right.
We're offering suggestions.
And we're all on a different journey.
Yes.
At a different speed.
Absolutely.
I'm a check off the list person, so the daily thing,
That's good for you.
that work. I love watching the little meter fill in as you get to, that's how my brain works.
Yeah.
One year, a friend of mine, this has been a lot of years ago, when I had little kids, I was exhausted all the time, and a friend who was in a bit of a different stage of life than me said, hey, let's read a chapter of scripture every day for the next 3 months, and whoever finishes first, that's when we still had just phones on the wall, and she said, when you get up and finish, call me, or if I get finished first, I'll call you. And we kept each other accountable like that. It was a beautiful thing. It enriched my relationship with God, but it also enriched my relationship with my friend.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And we weren't talking about anything. We were just saying, I did my reading today. I'm praying for you. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing when we talk about New Year's, but really any point in your life, are you moving forward in what God has for you?
Kelly, that
if
is it.
you are in the same place that you were a week ago, a month ago, 2 months, reevaluate and say, God, where are we going next? What is next for me in my walk with you? There needs to be growth, continual growth throughout the year, onto the next year, onto the next year. And if you're in the same place, you really need to go to God and be like, okay, what is it that I need to do different? Because there should be continual growth. God always has more.
Right.
He is never done. He always has more to teach us, to show us, to download into us. And we need to be open to receive that and move in that. And so that's, I think, what is the biggest thing, if I could say anything, is your walk with God moving forward. Staying in the same place even is not good enough.
No, because that's regressing.
Right.
Right.
If you're in the same place, then you're not growing.
Right.
We cannot stay in neutral.
Right.
Absolutely
There
not.
has to be continual growth.
Yes. Yes.
And so-
In
yes.
today's day, you need to grow. You need to go from strength to strength because
Glory to
this
glory.
world is heavy. And if you're not doing something, you will be sucked down a drain pipe very,
Yeah.
very
And
quickly.
not only do we not know what this new year holds,
Right.
we don't know what this afternoon holds.
It's true.
We don't. We
True.
don't. But we know him and we know that he
Yes.
is constant.
Yes, but
Yes.
if we are not constantly trying to get to know him more,
Right.
we're gonna live in fear first off.
Oh, yes.
We're gonna live in fear.
Right. And God, that is not what God ever wanted for us. He wants us to grow. He wants us to continue to seek him and build a relationship with him. I mean, I know you all heard this, but look at a relationship with you and your spouse or you and a friend. If you step back from that and do nothing, it does not grow. And in fact, most times that friendship or that relationship ends. And you don't want that with God. You want to see continual growth on the right path of the things that he wants and has for you. And it's an exciting journey. It truly is. So I encourage you, if it's a word for the year, if it's reading the Bible for your, whatever it is, don't get bogged down by it that you have to do it in a certain time, a certain way, but just follow what God may be speaking to you and what he would have you move into for this next year, because man, it's a journey that is incredible when it's with him. And when we come back, we will have our guest for the day.
Mouth-watering family recipes, easy-to-make meals, humor and faith fill the inspiring show Dano on the Counter. Born with only half a spine, Dano Burkhardt was never supposed to be able to hold his head up. Despite countless surgeries, a stroke, leg amputations, and kidney transplants, Dano developed a contagious love for life. Join Dano on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. on Fox 8 as he shares his easy-to-make dishes and the hope that keeps him pushing forward.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About It, and today we have my friend Jen Davis with us. And before we get into our topic, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Like I said, Jen Davis, and Kelly said, and I am from Altoona, have been living here all my life. I'm married for 25 years and have 2 boys that are teenagers and adult now. And I appreciate you guys inviting me on here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. You know, when I was thinking about when we go into the new year, that's often when people will think about money and how can I save this year? How can I make things a little bit better for myself? And I was thinking, who could we bring on that knows some things about that? And your name popped into my head because I remember you talking about some different couponing things you do or just some ways you save money. And so I was like, I'm bringing her on, see if she'll come on and tell us some ways that can help us.
So you're not a financial planner, you're a practical woman.
Yes.
That's what we love.
We need that.
We love that
because
practical.
Everything's expensive now.
That's
I
right.
know.
We need these
Right.
tips.
I keep seeing, have you guys seen like the memes like for Black Friday, instead of a free TV, could I have some money for groceries?
Yeah. Bring those groceries down. Put those groceries on sale.
I'd much rather have groceries.
I think it's a great idea. I'd go Black Friday shopping for that.
Yeah, exactly. So what's one of the ways that you would say this is how I'm able to save some money for my family?
So perfect time of the year. At the beginning of the year, I usually look at some of the bills that we have and look at, I'm old school, I still have a cable bill, so we still have DirecTV, and oftentimes each year I will call and ask them if there are any specials that they have at that time, and often even $20, $30 they'll take off of your bill for being,
Really?
they
Just
will,
for asking.
just for asking. Like,
Really?
sometimes, yeah, if you get the right person, call on a Friday, they're in a good mood, usually.
How long do you have to, like, do you immediately get a human being to talk to? Do you have to wait 30 minutes? Like, is it, be on hold forever and ever and ever?
No,
Okay.
not at all. It's definitely worth your time, even if it's just maybe 3 to 4 minutes. That's usually all that I've had to wait. And I will just ask them if there are any special at the moment. And always they will say, oh yes, either you've been a longtime customer or like I said, the TV is one thing you can do it with. Even if you have Sirius radio in your car, that's one thing you can do it with also. I've done that, and our internet bill. I've been able to, without degrading and getting something lower.
You just called?
I just called.
Okay, I've heard of this for a long
Yeah.
time ago.
I've heard of
Why
it.
you've been keeping her from me?
I'm
You've
sorry.
been keeping her from me. Jen, let's talk.
Okay.
Yeah, seriously. And people sometimes are like, well, it's, like you said, is it going to take a long time? Am I
Yes.
going to be on hold? And truly, I mean, I've heard of people doing this and saving a good bit of money.
And then you just, again, mark it on your calendar. Again, I actually do it usually at the beginning of the year. So you are looking to save money and a little bit from each bill. Now you can't, I've never done it with our utility bills or anything like that. but
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be
Hey,
nice.
if that ever works, let me know.
Right, that's just turn it down 4 degrees, put on a sweater. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing that I do. I also, nowadays, you don't get a lot of coupons to clip in the mail, but I will use my phone and have apps for different places. One of the ones that I use a lot would be, unfortunately, we eat a lot of fast food with our busy life, and you can usually get better deals if you're using your app and pull up before you get to the restaurant. It takes a little bit of time. You always want to make sure that your apps are updated. My husband sometimes gets frustrated because he will also try
Pull
to
over
comply.
to the side. I need to update my app before we go through the drive-thru.
If you try to pull it up as soon as you're there, it could take a couple extra minutes, but the savings that you can use in a restaurant like that, or again, fast food.
I know McDonald's usually has some
McDonald's,
really good.
Honest, I used it on the way here, and I saved. I ate my lunch, and
Yeah.
So yes, load those apps. You put your birthday in. Sometimes for birthdays, like my family, we have 4 different birthdays spread out throughout the year. So I will sometimes use different birthdays because you end up getting all of those offers for your birthday like at one time. So I'll usually try to spread it out and put, my
a
son's
good idea.
birthday, and then throughout the year you have different offers that you can, again, just save a little money to go out to eat.
Now, have you ever heard of Hip to Save?
I have.
Do you follow that?
Yes, I pull it up probably at least twice
Is
a
that
week.
an app?
No.
It is.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
she's on Facebook too, and
Hip to Save is.
It's called Hip to Save, and she will tell you different either apps that you should download, sales that are going on, coupons to use with those items, how to get the best price. And she's very up to date with, what's out there at any given time. Like she right now is going nuts, with Black Friday coming up. She will show you exactly how to get the best deal. It's really a good site,
Yes.
I think, to follow.
I agree.
Do you do anything with the grocery stores?
So I do. I am an out-of-the-box thinker, I would say, when it comes to doing our local grocery store, Martin's Gas Points. So I've been doing this for many years, and I'm very passionate about it.
I love it.
Okay, I can't
So,
wait.
all right. So what you do each week when you get the flyer, sometimes they come in the mail, sometimes they don't. So you can look on the Martin's app, and they have usually at least 3 deals that you can look at. And what you have to do, in my mind, what I do if they are saying you can get 400 gas points for buying 6 items. So I immediately think about, all right, what does that make, how much money is that? So you have to, when you use the money for the gas, you have to get 25 gallons in order for this to make sense. So if you don't have a gas can, it's worth investing in a gas can.
Okay.
So that if you have a car, like I have a bigger vehicle, but if you have a car, usually you can only fit maybe 15 gallons in. So you'd want to take a gas can or 2 with you whenever you do go to redeem these. So that little front story you need to understand that part first. So
only if you're filling up that much, you're actually
correct. So this
Okay.
dollar value that I'll give you
Benefiting.
is
Okay.
only if you're getting the whole 25 gallons.
Oh,
So
okay.
Okay.
So 400 gas points equals $10 worth of gas, okay, whenever you get the 25 gallons. Okay, so in my mind, I think, all right, are there items on here that are, sometimes there can be money makers. So sometimes if there's something on there that's maybe just like $1 or $1.50, if you buy 6 of those items, you can actually make money on as long as you get to 25 gallons.
You're brilliant.
So do you ever find yourself though, like me, I'd be like, well, I'm going to buy this and I don't even need it.
And then you don't need it, or you don't
Yeah, you
use
don't
it,
need
or
it,
it
like-
goes to
I do,
waste.
yeah.
or-
So I've actually been able to use this for some ministry opportunities. So whenever, a lot of times they'll have,
I know,
It's like a duh moment. Like
a lot of times they'll have, if you purchase 20 of some item, and those items are going to be very inexpensive. So whenever my work, for instance, sometimes we collect money for homeless people, or we have done some things for shelters in the area. At that, like whenever I see that type of a deal, I will buy like little toothpastes and deodorants and just save them for when that maybe comes up. And by getting the gas points with them, I can buy more to be able to like support that type of thing. So
a good idea.
I do that.
That is a really good idea.
Have you ever seen, and they don't do it as much anymore, and it's frustrating, but on Black Friday, the CVS and the Rite Aid and the Walgreens, the money makers that you can make
I have.
on Black Friday, where you can get a free toothbrush, and often it's free or you make money from it, or the tissues. I'm trying to think some of their other ones that are common. Earbuds are usually a big one that they'll give.
Okay, let me ask you this. You're saying Black Friday, but we've already passed the holidays. So January, does it happen through the year also that you can get these, you call them money makers?
Sometimes,
Okay,
yeah. It
that's
just
Yeah, you have to
Okay.
kind of just read the ads and kind of
Okay.
keep up to date.
Figure it out.
Right, and see what they're giving for that week. But, it's things where I'm like, free. I mean, why wouldn't you get it?
Right.
It's free. And when I say free is what they do is, let's say the item was $3. Well, they're putting the $3 credit on your CVS card or whatever, so you still have to then go get something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I was going to
sometimes you
spend
have
money,
to jump through some hoops to be able to
But I
do
would
this.
totally donate stuff like that.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us and
Jen,
sharing
you're
a few
awesome.
tips with us. I think it will help you guys out there when money is tight and we're looking for some ways that we can just save a few dollars here and there. Go back to some of these tips that were given by Jen and save that money. Put it back for something else. And we are just so thankful that you're here with us, Jen. And when we come back, we will have our tip for the day.
For generations, Dick's Home Care has been providing the best equipment and service for patient care at home. Breathe easier with oxygen from Dick's Home Care. Oxygen concentrators give you a continuous oxygen supply at home. Oxygen cylinders supply oxygen without power. And portable oxygen frees you to go. Dick's Home Care technicians will set your oxygen up and make sure you know how to use it. Call the leader in home medical equipment, Dick's Home Care.
Made by Vogel is a father and son business that produces high-quality handmade wooden products such as cutting boards, bowls, bottle stoppers, and more. Products for sale can be found on their Etsy site or in downtown Altoona at the Clay Cup. You can't go wrong buying from Made by Vogel.
So today's tip is one that I think is an amazing way to start the new year off with, especially if you like to journal. There's a journal that I bought back in 2020 called One Line a Day, 5 Years of Memories. Here it is, and it's, pretty beat up, as you can see, probably because I'm on year 4 of it, but I've absolutely enjoyed having this to do each night. You see, each night you can write something inside, but there's just a few lines, so it's got to be short. And it could be something good that's happened or maybe even something bad that's happened, but maybe it's something God spoke to you that very day. It really can just be anything you want to remember about that specific day. And you do this every day for 5 years. And what I love is that when I get to go back to the year previous, I can see what I wrote and what was special about that day, what I enjoyed about it. So if you like to journal and this sounds interesting to you, you can find these kind of books on Amazon. And until next time, let's talk about it.
Impact Productions, a multi-layer technology company providing on-site, online, and in-studio video services. Contact Impact Productions to capture your story.